Good evening. The name's Nick Carraway, and I want to tell you the story of a fabulous soiree I attended once. It was the bee's knees until it wasn't. I call this tale the Great Gatsby, or Jazz of the Red Death.
Class, welcome. It is I, your teacher, Professor Critic, the zombie, and welcome to our next lesson of new media. I'm excited today to talk about the 1925 novel, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. As you may know, this is one of the great American novels and touches on important themes of class, privilege, and what it means to make your way in this world. And we'll be exploring these in this latest lesson in new media.
Wait. New media? This is The Great Gatsby. That is not new.
Good point. It's almost 100 years old, but I would point out that just this year, on January 1st, The Great Gatsby entered the public domain. So it is in fact new to us creators, new to us who wish to remix it and explore it in fresh, publicly available context. So that's where you're wrong. It may seem old, but it can be new to us. And now, as preparation for some of the most important themes in this book, I'd like us all to watch a short film to get us in the right headspace, and that is Social Class in America.
Newborn American babies, newborn citizens of these United States, free and with rights guaranteed by the Constitution. But let's take a closer look. Meet Guilford Ames III, the latest addition to one of the town's upper-class families. Guilford Ames II is the wealthiest man in town. He owns a large factory. The Ames family is one of the oldest families in the community, and so it represents social prestige as well as wealth. This is where an Ames family has lived for the last 100 years, and this is where Guilford Ames III will live when he leaves the hospital with his mother. Like most of the babies here, this one, Theodore Eastwood by name, has an ascribed status of middle class. His father is Joseph Eastwood, high school educated and a white-collar worker in the Ames factory. He has a steady, skillful job and is comfortably off, but the chances are that he will not advance much beyond his present status. The mortgage on his house is on its way to being paid, and someday it undoubtedly will be. Although young Ted Eastwood has an ascribed status of middle class, he may be able to better it. The class status he achieves during his lifetime may be higher than the one he was born with. This could be true, too, of this baby, David Benton, whose ascribed status is lower class. David's father is Michael Benton, an unskilled factory worker who has a meager education. Mr. Benton rents the upper floor of a two-family house in a rundown section of town. The ability to rise from an ascribed status to an achieved one is called vertical mobility and is particularly characteristic of the United States. There are class lines within each general group, and these vary geographically and in relation to nationality, religion, and race. Class exists in the United States as it does everywhere, and it plays a vital part in the life of every community. Let us follow the lives of these three babies and see how class affects them. 18 years later, Gil, Ted, and Dave are in the graduating class of the town's high school. After the commencement exercises, the three boys, who are good friends, meet to say goodbye. Next fall, Gil Ames is going to attend an Ivy League university. Ted, who took a commercial course in high school, plans to get a white-collar job like his father's. Dave is going to work too, so that he can add to his family's income. Friends forever, they've said. Well, maybe in a way. But these boys come from families of different classes, and the lines of social class are real here in America, as they are everywhere, in Europe, in Asia, and even in the Soviet Union. As the years pass, class boundaries will separate Gil and Ted and Dave more and more. The boundaries between Ted's middle-class parents and Dave's lower-class parents are as important as those that lie between the upper and the middle classes. Even the simple event of graduation from high school has a different significance for the boys and their families. For Gil, it is only a milestone in his formal education. Later that night, Mr. Ames has a serious talk with his son. Mr. Ames tells Gil that he sent him to public high school so that he could gain a democratic background. But now he's about to enter an environment more in keeping with his social position. At college, he will meet men of his own kind. Gil understands, because already he has developed an awareness of his class, its patterns, and its rules. In another part of town, the Eastwoods have just finished dinner. Ted's record in high school was generally good, but there was one subject in which he excelled: drawing. Ted would like to do something professionally in the art field, but his father discourages him. In the light of Mr. Eastwood's own experience, security lies in business and white-collar work. Ted sees his father's point of view and agrees that the commercial courses he took in high school have prepared him for office work. And so, that's the kind of job he'll look for. In the Benton household, graduation from high school is an event worthy of celebration, and a family party in Dave's honor is in progress. Mr. Benton proudly announces to the guests that Dave has already gone out and found himself a job. In the Benton family and among their neighbors, economic pressures are important. Dave's initiative in finding work is highly regarded by all of them, and his parents are justifiably proud. Four years later, Dave, 22 now, has a job at a local gas station. Although he's still only a gas station attendant, he's studying to be an automobile mechanic. The driver of the car is his old friend of high school days, Gil Ames. Gil has graduated from college now and is on his way to start work in his father's factory. Dave is going to be married just as soon as his job of auto mechanic comes through. Gil's first day of work in his father's factory turned up still another familiar face. Ted Eastwood has a job in the bookkeeping department. Mr. Ames is taking his son on a tour of all the departments of the factory. Someday, Gil will take over the business, and today, he's beginning to learn about it. Kind of rocked you, didn't it? Gil Ames with his future all laid out for him. But you're Ted Eastwood, stuck in a job you'll be in all your life. Why don't you get out? What's keeping you here anyway? Mary Blakesley? You thought you'd marry her. But Remember what she said that day in the car? Her car, of course.
But can't you see it's impossible, Ted? It's not just money. We live in different worlds.
Sure, different worlds inside this town, but there are other worlds, bigger towns. You've got some money saved, go to New York. Give it a try for 6 months. And if you fail, only you're not going to fail. And Ted didn't fail. He had talent and the ability to work hard. He started with a job in the art department of a large advertising agency. They called him a production assistant, but actually, he was a sort of a glorified errand boy. But at least he was through with bookkeeping and close to the kind of work he liked. At night, he took courses in commercial art and advertising and spent a good deal of his free time working and studying at home. In the years that followed, Ted gained a thorough technical knowledge of his field. By the time he was 30 years old, he was the head of the art department of an advertising agency. Horizontal mobility, moving from one place to another, has resulted in vertical mobility for Ted Eastwood, a movement upward from his ascribed status to an achieved status that is largely the result of his professional standing. Class lines are drawn differently in a large city like New York, although they are still there. Here, professional standing, power, and wealth are of great importance. It is possible for members of socially prominent families, theater people who may have come from the lower class, and successful businessmen of the middle class to mix socially. And Ted is an accepted member of the group. But when Ted returns to his hometown on a vacation, how does he fare? Has he a new achieved status back there too? When he meets the girl he wanted to marry, have things changed? The town is small enough so that Mary has heard about Ted's success in New York. But this isn't New York. Mary is married to Gil now, and although they are friendly enough toward Ted, he still isn't part of their world, and he never will be. In this town, the ascribed status of his parents is still the class to which he belongs. Ted's mother brings him up to date on all the town gossip, but he only half hears her. The meeting with Mary has stirred old memories in him. He's remembering what she said to him about different worlds. He knows now that to her and Gil, he's still the nice kid from the wrong side of the railroad tracks, no matter how successful he is. His achieved status is higher than that of his father's because he has a profession, but that status depends on a place. In this case, New York. Dave Benton, on the other hand, has changed his status hardly at all. He's now a skilled auto mechanic. And although his achieved status is not much better than the one ascribed to him by his family, financially, he will be able to provide better for his wife and children. His third child, a son, was born in the local hospital just yesterday. This new Benton baby has the ascribed status given him by his family. He may, as he grows up, reach a higher achieved status as Ted Eastwood did. Or he may, as his own father did, stay in the class to which he was born. His vertical mobility will depend greatly upon him, his character, his talents and abilities. It will possibly depend, too, upon geographical mobility, because the criteria for class boundaries vary from place to place. And so it will be for all these babies, all citizens, all equal before the law, but not the same by standards of class.
And so you see, students, that gives us excellent background on the themes of social class, which are very prevalent. It'll give us some insight into what it means when Daisy Buchanan speaks of a woman being a beautiful little fool in a world that she has grown up in. But you all don't look so enthused. Aren't you excited to be reading this great piece of literature? What's going on here?
Hey, critic. Hello, it's
Gauntly.
me, Gauntly.
Hello. You know we're in the middle of a class session here, Gauntly.
Oh yeah, I saw a link in an email and I clicked it to, these days, Zoom meeting is pretty much your only chance at adventure, meeting new people. So I thought I'd pop in and see what you're up to. How's the class going?
Well, we're in a new media class and we're learning about the Great Gatsby, which, as you know, recently entered the public domain. And we're starting to dissect some of its more important themes. And it seems as if the students aren't getting too into it today.
Well, I think I may know something that could help this situation. After all, it's the 20s once again. Let's make them roar. I think we need to have a jazz age shindig. So, everybody out there, get your appropriate attire on and let's jazz things up here. Let's just create a bastion of new moral frontiers here. Let's bob our hair, why not? And just really cut loose.
Well, I always say that culture is itself a shindig. You are aware that this is a place of learning, Gauntly.
Oh, sure enough, but experience is the best teacher. And here to provide some experience is our local bartender. He of many hats.
I've done a little mixing of drinks on the show before, and I'm certainly glad to be helping out with something as close to my heart as a Gatsby party. We're gonna throw down just like they used to in the speakeasies back in the day.
I'm not sure that a speakeasy is very new media, and I would point out that many of those in attendance here are under the age of 21, and we are a strictly law-abiding class that I run.
Oh, well, I'm sure they're all responsible citizens. Our bartender will keep an eye on things, keep everybody to the letter of the law. After all, that's what speakeasies are all about, is just following the letter of the law. I see somebody drawing near. Who is this new guest?
The name's Nick Carraway, and I hope you don't mind me joining your party. I heard there was a lavish 20s soiree, and I can't keep myself away from that sort of thing.
Your 20 cents was tingling. Well, perfect. The more the merrier. I know there's a quarantine raging outside, but in my mind, I think it's just a time to be welcoming people in and throwing a big old party, because truth be told, I don't know all that much about the Great Gatsby. Most of my party planning knowledge comes from authors like Edgar Allan Poe. And I'm really drawing this evening on Mask of the Red Death, which tells me that a pandemic is the perfect time to throw a swinging party in many solid color monochromatic rooms. And now let's really cut loose. So, Mr. Bartender, what have you got on tap for us this evening?
Well, I was thinking of starting everybody off with a dry martini. I've also got some apple juice for those of you who choose not to partake. But why don't we pass out some of these drinks and get silly? Here you go. One for you. This for you.
Yeah, take one down and pass it around. Great public domain song.
How about one for you, Mr. Caraway?
No thanks. I won't be drinking tonight. I know how this story ends. Those automobiles are dangerous. I'm not one of those darn prohibitionists either.
Mr. Critic, one for you?
Well, I am partial to a fine Cabernet. I suppose I can do a little bit of partaking during this lecture.
And I've got my skull mug here. Mr. Bartender, if you could just top me off here. Pass that to you. Ah, thank you. Get a nice clear look at that, viewers at home. Got to keep it topical, even in the roaring 20s. I think we're off to a good start here, really taking in the spirit of the novel. And to celebrate the party with us, viewers at home, enjoy our next film selection, Betty Boop in Mask, a Raid. It's all about roaring jazz, love triangles, all very topical to the story of Gatsby. And hey, masks, you still gotta wear them. Enjoy.
Cutie, cutie. Papa's Daisy. Oh.
Where do you work, John?
On the Delaware Locker One.
Oh, yeah? Say, what do you do, John?
Oh, I push, I push, I push.
Oh, well, what do you push, John?
I push the drum.
Yes, but where do you push, John?
On the Delaware Locker One.
Oh, the Delaware Locker One.
Fatigo de Locker One. Hey,
Where do you work, Lee?
Fumboli.
No, I say, where do you work, Lee? What do you do, Lee? Oh, say, I can't understand you, Lee. Oh, the Delaware Lackawan. Kunka shovala shompali. Ah, ookie tookie ookie me. Ah, shompala.
Oh, look!
Come here.
She's mine!
No, she's mine.
She's mine!
Mine.
Come here!
Mine.
Come here!
Oh, come here.
And so the one that wins the fight.
He's the one I care for. Let me see a real war. Come on, big boys, fight for me. What do you cry? Heads or tails?
Heads. Oh. Ouch!
Here.
There. Take that. That. Come on.
Give me a piece of pie.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch a fella by the tail. La 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 la.
Wise guy. Oh! Ow! Ouch! Don't! Stop it! Ow! Ooh!
To the dungeon!
Oh, Betty!
What would you say if I married you?
So how's everybody doing? How's the hooch treating you? Having a good time?
I'm so good. Like you don't even know how good I am. That's how good I am. So good.
I love to learn. So, oh.
Seems we're all learning a lot tonight.
These 20s are roaring.
I'm just feeling so good. The 20s are just divine. I love them, and I'm having such a good time with you all.
Barkeep, what was in that apple juice that you gave to my students?
It's just normal ingredients, apple juice, yeast, and a few weeks in the cupboard.
Oh, this soiree has turned out to be quite delightful. Despite my concern that it wouldn't be a great learning experience, I just had a wonderful conversation with a horse. You can learn quite a bit from a horse. I never would have thought. But, man, the only thing that could go better with this remarkable vintage, I would say, would be a brain charcuterie. So perhaps the next time, bartender, you could prepare one of those for my class.
I'll keep it in mind. I think I've got some brains around here somewhere.
Bartender, I was wondering if you had any soup beer behind those shelves.
Oh, I'm sorry. Soup beer has been banned around these parts. Too many people can't stand the smell.
I find it my beverage of choice.
Well, it seems like the hooch is hitting good tonight. Everybody's having a great time, I guess.
It is hitting. It's hitting different. We're here in the year 2021, coming up on Valentine's Day. It's been a weird last year, I gotta say. But time keeps ticking forward. We've been here for 8 years in the crypt, whatever form it takes. Sometimes it's a dank cavern. Sometimes it's a multicolored pastiche. an homage. And I just got to say that Gauntly is a lot like The Great Gatsby. Hear me out. That Jay Gatsby's parties make everybody think, oh, this is a hip and happening dude. He must be really satisfied with his life and everything that he's got going on. Because he's got the big house and the crazy jazz music. But peer beneath the veneer, guests, and see that the whole thing is a machination, an act, a thin veneer devised as an excuse to bring people in, to hopefully get certain people to gather around and become part of Gauntsby's life, with mixed results, mixed degrees of success. But every time the party draws to a close and Gauntsby is standing out there on the lawn alone, looking out through the starry night at that green light. Wait a minute. Green light? What is that? What is that green light? It's getting bigger. That looks like a spaceship coming down. Everybody, look up there. Look, everyone, look up in the sky.
Lord, it's going to be a rough entry. Goodness, here we come. Okay. Whew, made it.
Oh, it's Professor Cosmos. Welcome.
Gauntly, I come with news and concern, but it looks like I've interrupted a party. What's going on here? And it seems like a particular kind of party.
Well, you know, it's one of your standard dual tribute to The Great Gatsby and Mask of the Red Death parties.
Oh, I see. Yes, I've been to a few of those.
Yes, you know, it's kind of it's like the 2020s party and the 1920s party collided together.
Right. So I know everyone seems to have a libation. Is there a bartender? Would you happen to have any moonshine, perhaps?
Sure, I could dig something up like that.
That would be lovely.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, thank you. This is one of my favorites.
Cheers, Professor. Take a big old swig of that.
Yeah, cheers to all of you.
Yeah.
It's great to be back.
Yeah.
But before you dive too deep into that mason jar, you said you had a message.
Yes. I won't drink anymore until I've been able to give my message. So I've been on sabbatical, hence the look. I got a grant from to be a galactic ambassador. I took advantage of the opportunity to see the Jupiter Saturn convergence. I was there for that. I don't know if anybody saw me or noticed me, but I was there. Swung by the Crab Nebula, and it's been really, nothing like sabbatical, I'll tell you. But so then on my way back, I swing by the moon, and I see distress signals. And sure enough, I go down to check it out, and there are the cat women. They're there, and they're running out of oxygen. Their things are not good for them, and they're going to need to come back. It's quite alarming, really. They need to come back to Earth.
Well, honestly, it makes sense, because the last time we saw them was about 6 months ago. We thought for sure this quarantine was going to come to a close at some point, but it drags ever onward.
I mean, that was the thing that, they were quite concerned. They said, we've been staying away. We don't want any part of this COVID business. but they have no choice. So they're very anxious. I'm sure they could use a few stiff drinks to calm themselves down once they get here. I'm quite sure.
Sounds like it. And honestly, I think we are pretty safe here. We have these solid walls and solid interior decorator skills that will keep us safe. I don't think any party that comes at the end of The Great Gatsby or any Edgar Allan Poe story you might name could possibly come to anything other than a happy ending.
Yes. You know, now that reminds me, yes, that's how I was able to track you down. Because as I was headed back with this news, I thought I saw the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg. And now that makes sense. That's what brought me here to you. That was my beacon.
It is pretty eye-catching. I feel like you could take that and turn it into a book cover or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, I agree.
Hey guys, it sounds like we're gonna have some more guests here. How do you all feel about that?
I feel so good, man. I feel so good.
I'll tell them about my EP and my LP. Got a lot of things.
How many P's you got?
Yeah, your 480p, your 1080p, your SP, your SLP. Man, you can fit 8 hours onto a VHS tape. Wild.
Well, VHS is, man, for my time.
But hey, if there's going to be more people here, we better make sure there's enough drinks to go around. Bartender, how's your stock looking?
Yeah, I don't know. If we've got more people coming, we might be in trouble. I'm running dangerously low on the giggle water here.
Yeah. Well, you guys are a little bit zazzled, I realize.
Yeah, I see you have managed to remain unaffected, as though it were planned all along.
If you guys are running low on jag juice, I'm happy to get out of here and go see a man about a dog.
Yeah, just snip off some of that hair of that there dog, and we'll see you in a few. Thank you for heading out into the night in this questionable time, and Godspeed as you collect certain substances for us here tonight. After all, guys, the last thing we want to come at the end of our happy little story here together would be any drunk driving. That's just a very dark and dangerous thing to do. And what kind of story ends with a car accident? Just, you want to take precaution, you want to avoid that whole thing. Especially, we're going to be having some extraterrestrial guests here soon. We don't know how their systems are going to be affected. And the last thing we want is drunk driving aliens, as depicted here in Stop Driving Us Crazy. What do you have to say about that, Professor?
Car crashes with wheels flying off? No, no part of that. No, thank you.
You can call me Rusty. Oh, I'm not a car. I'm a spy from Mars. My mission? To scout this planet for... Oh, but let's begin at the beginning, shall we? You see, we're running out of oxygen on our planet. And this Earth looked inviting. Good roads, plenty of minerals, and we tuned in an inspiring message.
All men are children of God. Put out pride and envy by putting God first. We are our brother's keeper. We do unto him as we would have him do unto us. Thou shalt not kill.
Children of God, like us. Oh, I couldn't wait to start. But I skidded into a situation that was really wild. There were beings who looked like me, called cars. But they were slaves to a race of creatures who had only 2 legs. Brutal. I looked around, and I found a kind of rest home. I slipped on a disguise and found a wavelength on which I could communicate with my kind of beings. Man, I mean, like, you know, they drive us crazy. We can't do a thing on our own. Well, I mean, like, you know, some of the young ones, they're not so bad. They try. They got their driving school. Pitifully few.
And you know, they have alert minds and good reflexes.
Still, we'd never get very far unless we helped each other. I was idling there, just sort of gassing away with my new friends, when suddenly I was captured by a 2 legs myself. It was useless trying to communicate, no intelligence. And he steered me into situations that would make your engine boil. I beg your pardon. You first. And the things I saw on your highways. They all had the right of way. These 2 legs have a peculiar fluid, alcohol. You see, just a drink or 2 releases inhibitions but slows down reflexes. What a combination. Some of them even like getting loaded and blasting off in 2 tons of steel aimed for trouble. They rarely miss. I found that in every single hour on this primitive planet, 4 of the creatures die in a car crash, and that there's been a fatal accident for every 1.5 miles of paved road. And in my mind, I kept hearing that voice we'd picked up on Mars.
All men are children of God. Christian love demands Christian concern for the rights of others. Put out pride and envy by putting God first. are our brother's keeper. We do unto him as we would have him do unto us. Thou shalt not kill.
Oh, what a nightmare it was until I made my escape. What a world! You say that driving is not a right, but a privilege. That to endanger yourself and others is a violation of moral law as well as statutory law. You say the right of way is not as important as God's right way. That reckless driving is a sin. But you say one thing and do another, and every day there are more creatures, more cars, more smash-ups. That's why I'm leaving. But you, where are you going?
Last call, everyone. Get your last orders in.
Ooh, the night is winding down. I think we've had a good time here. What say you all?
Best lesson ever.
23 to do and all that, yes.
I gotta say, it's a little surprising that Nick never came back, so gotta keep an eye out for him. Actually, I do hear somebody at my door, so maybe that's him coming back now. Let me get the door.
Where did Nick go? What have we got here?
Hello.
Oh, that's upsetting. I don't like that.
Bonus balonus.
You look bad.
So we do have a new guest here, rather strangely dressed. You know, if I didn't know better, I'd have to say you rather look like the personification of COVID itself.
That's me. This is me.
Oh, nothing 1920s about that at all. What are you doing here? It's gauche.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that's really tasteless. You know, we try to have something nice here, throw a celebration here all in one location together. Apparently, we kind of have bent the laws of reality here somehow along the way. But we're just trying to have a little sanctuary in the midst of the pandemic, and you come in here dressed like that. Oh, it's almost like the pandemic has found us in our revelry. It got in. It found us. Oh my gosh, you can ask up as well. You may, but it's here. It's now. Why did we wait to get vaccinated?
Be gone! Found COVID!
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh, it's got me.
No! No!
Yeah!
Oh no. I guess this is my time.
Oh man, this is the worst job I've ever had.
At least for once, this wasn't my class that got interrupted, but I'm out of here. Back to Crab Nebula for me.
What happened here?
I don't know. Do you know what happened?
Looks like they're all
laying on the floor.
Well, if the virus was here, we seem to be unaffected.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Hmm.
Air.
Yeah. Oxygen.
Wow.
I guess the planet's ours.
I wonder what they were doing that they were all gathered together.
I don't know. Should have known the pandemic would find them.
I see some glasses laying down on the floor as well. Do you know anything about that?
Perhaps we should give it a try.
Wow.
And darkness and decay and corona held illimitable dominion over all. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. You know, this Eastern life is too decadent for me. I think I'd like to move west, live the simple life.
You made it this far, and you haven't been killed by sharks. You haven't stepped on a landmine. You haven't had your body torn apart. Blood is still pumping through the functional valves of your heart. And you're smart and you're alive, and you can sleep and wake up, and don't choke on your food, and don't fall in the shower. You've survived one more year, and we're terribly proud of you. Peanuts can be deadly, and so can a shellfish in a body that chooses to go. If you'd had a seizure, or if you'd had an aneurysm, you could have lost the parts of your brain that would know that I know that in all of these years you didn't let your skin burn off. You didn't drink poison. You didn't lose your lungs to whooping cough. Cells are still dividing to replace any cells that you've lost. And you're smart and you're alive, and you can take your prescriptions as much as you need them, not more than you need them, not so you OD on them. You haven't been shot by a stranger, you haven't been shot by a friend, you haven't perished in a plane crash or grabbed a live wire by the end. There's a lot you did not do to be here with us now, so we're proud and we're proud and we're proud. Yeah, that's good.
Whoa. That was a heck of a thing.
Ugh.
we seem to still be here.
Feel like I've got a bit of a hangover, but other than that, I'm feeling all right.
Yeah, you know what? I should have known this would happen. Our undead anatomy has protected us from a terrible fate once again. I'm some kind of ghoul. Critic, you're a zombie. It doesn't come up all that often.
Oh, it's good to know. That's why I'm eating my brains, and I think that's a very good theory that we've now put to the test.
And of course, as Fauci told us, Santa's immune, so guess worked out for you, Mr. Bartender.
Yeah, I did think I remember hearing Fauci say something about that. Glad to know he was right after all. My Santa powers protect me once again.
Oh, guess we got to clean up now, guys.
Where's Ograt when you need him?
Yeah, man, we got to throw away all these half beers and corpses. Just another Valentine's Day. And as always, we say, pleasant nightmares wherever you are. Bye, guys. And get vaccinated.